So in this chapter, we're going to be talking about two different ways of gathering data about people. One way is by performing surveys. And in our next video, we'll start talking about observations and what we can do there. Surveys help us to understand opinion and behavior and get a fair amount of information quickly. That's a good thing. So for example, we know that based on this Kaiser Family Foundation survey, that 73% of the population sampled was already vaccinated, about 75% of females, 70% of males, so a little bit more female. Older people more likely to be vaccinated. It depends on racial and ethnic, or race and ethnicity. So somewhat more Hispanics, for example, than Blacks reported being vaccinated. College educated people more, and about 91% of Democrats. So significantly different there than Republicans. So we get a lot of information, and it also is useful here to divide by groups and look at who in particular is vaccinated and who should we be targeting, and an intervention to increase vaccination rates. Question format matters. So we can ask questions in a lot of different ways. We can use open-ended questions. So what do you think of this class? We can ask forced choice, where there's one or the other. Do you like this class so far? Yes or no? We can ask a Likert or use a Likert scale. This class is hard. Strongly agree to strongly disagree. On a scale from 1 to 5, sometimes 1 to 7. Or we can ask a semantic differential format, where we are comparing group, or our anchors are adjectives. How difficult is this class? Easy, hard, right? So in many ways similar to the Likert scale, but with different kinds of anchors. Words matter. So we can ask leading questions, like how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? Or how fast were the cars going when they contacted each other? And one of the things that Loftus and Palmer found in their classic research is that the verbs used makes a difference. When we ask about smashing, we get a different response than if we ask about contacting. Contacting doesn't sound as bad, does it? And I think that this says something about, the kinds of words that we use. How do they influence the reader or the listener? We can ask any of a series of kinds of questions. For example, double-barreled questions. Do you enjoy swimming and wearing sunscreen? Well, I enjoy swimming. I don't enjoy wearing sunscreen. Or are you asking, am I wearing sunscreen? We can ask negatively worded questions. People who do not drive with a suspended license should never be punished. Are we asking about the people who don't drive with a suspended license, or the people who do? You're probably as confused as I am here. Again, words matter. So if we ask or phrase a question the way that the Pew Research Center did here, They said, there are 435 members of the House of Representatives, each of whom represents an average of 700,000 people. Do you think the number of members in the House of Representatives should be increased, stay the same, or decreased? And 51% here said they should be increased. On the other hand, when we say, when the first Congress met, there were 65 members, each of whom represented an average of 60,000 people. Asking the question in this way significantly increased the number of people who said, we should probably increase the number of representatives. Again, a question, this survey was also asked by the Pew Research Center. Here's yet another article from the Pew Research Center. And depending on how we ask about internet use, we're going to get different kinds of responses. So if we say, ask, do you live in a household where someone uses the internet at home? 81% say yes. If you ask, live in a household where someone uses the internet at home, including through a data plan, 83% say yes. 85% if uses the internet anywhere, including through a data plan. And finally, 88% say that they have access to the internet at their household. Okay, how we ask makes a difference. Now, in the previous set of questions, we were suggesting that anyone who lives in your home. So maybe your grandma's figuring this out. She never uses the internet, but because you use the internet, she would respond in that particular way. Where the second group of questions, the ones in blue, are personal measures. And they ask whether, for example, the person uses internet from anywhere, 79%, uses the internet, 79%, uses internet or email, 81%, or 86%, depending on who is doing the assessment, and uses the internet or email or accesses the internet through mobile, 89%. It makes a difference. Similarly, question order makes a difference. So Claude Steele's work suggests that question order makes a difference. If we ask about race early in a survey, that changes the kind of response that people give as opposed to later. So here what he's doing is he's looking at, in particular, at the Blacks and whites responses on the SAT based on whether race is requested. And notice that when there is a race prime, when race is asked early, whites do better and blacks do poorer. When race is not asked, if anything, these Black participants at Stanford University tended to do a little bit better than the white participants. And he called this stereotype threat. So we should think about, how does being in a particular place in the order of questions influence, or how might it influence what's happening in later questions? And let's end here. I'll see you in the next video where we're talking about how do we get really good responses. And take care.